Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mojo Monday, where mindset plus emotions accelerate your results. It's the week of Christmas. I'm Marcy Ann Stewart. I am a Ruby leader here at Trenant. Little backstory is I came from another company a few years back, so I didn't just like slide right over. With that company, I actually kind of burned out. I tried so hard to make it happen. I pushed. I earned some great accolades like Rookie of the Year award, top 10 in trip tracking. I hit one of the top, three ranks and it like fell apart. It was like that house of cards that had no foundation, and then it all kind of just fell apart because um I was just trying to make it happen. And so what I'm going to share today is how I've been doing it differently here at Trenant. Because of course I swore off the industry forever. I don't know if you guys have ever said that. But I have been doing a total different approach here at Trenant because of my kind of PTSD from burnout and also how it affected my health, which of course I came to Ternant for health. Um, and uh, and because of placement and my deciding to sort of work sometimes, not all the times, not 100% committed. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody either. I was able to hold the rank of Jade for and get a Jeep and hold that for about a year and a half before I finally decided this past March. Well, I was trying to decide in March, but I officially decided in April of this year to just, I'm 100% committed. There is no going back. This is it for me. Kind of they talk about burning the bridge. But I want to share how in the last 6 months I was able to go from that Jade to Ruby on my first account and Opal on my second account without the stress of pushing. So I don't know if you feel that stress or that feeling like that burnout's coming, or if you've been there, go ahead and say in the chat. But before I want to open it up for what I'm going to talk about today, which is all about how learning how to receive the success versus pushing for the success, I want to open it up to see if there are any like wins, either health wins, business wins, maybe wins if you've attended some of these calls where you've been working with thoughts plus emotions and how it has accelerated your results. I'd love to hear any of those types of wins. So I'm just gonna take a minute if you guys want to unmute and share. My dog's probably gonna bark at me, so hopefully, hopefully it doesn't get too loud.
I've been a little busy with everything right now. So I feel like I'm in the season of taking it from 2025 to 2026. And so it's all about, my systems brain is on fire with getting everything ready right now. So my wins are a little bit different than normal.
Hey, and we are so grateful for you, Christy. Like 2026 is going to be amazing because of Christy, everybody, because of Christy.
So my brain is in a different place, but my point is that you should celebrate all of those places, right? Because for me, it's really exciting. My favorite week of the year, I know this is going to sound weird, but my favorite week of the year happens to be between Christmas and New Year's. And the reason is because my business brain is on fire with what is going to happen, right? So it's like starting December 1st, it starts rolling into this whole thing. So my encouragement would be to don't just worry about just, always being perfect, what your my idea of perfect is, but enjoying the seasons and being perfect in the seasons that you're in. Because I feel like we all change and go through them all like crazy. But my business is on fire right now with stuff.
Yes. And I don't know if you guys can all hear the emotion she has behind what she's sharing as well.
Yes, totally, totally. I'm so excited about everything and I can't wait to share with everybody and it's just been so fun. So I'm definitely excited.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share a win before we jump in? I'm gonna actually try to put my dog inside so he doesn't bark at me the whole time and distract me. So give me 1 second. If somebody wants to unmute and share a win while I go do that, Mozzie, come on, inside. You can't come out here.
I'll share a win. Sorry, guys, I've been up late packing. We're selling a house and buying two houses. So it's been crazy. My win for me is that I've finally invested in myself. I've always kind of dabbled a little bit and I thought I could do this on my own, but I'm going to give one piece of advice is that you can't. You can't. You need to invest in you. Unless like I was watching Daniel G the other day and I thought, oh my goodness, I just love the guy. You know, he's very intense. I saw him on the Eric Worre show for the first time, and I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is like he's not only on fire, but he says it as it is. And one of the things he says is if you're just dipping your toe in or you're just kind of in part time, and this was his words, get the hell out. I was like, what? Pardon me? And yeah, and I was like, whoa. So for me, my win is I invested in the GoPro certification. And I'm doing that. I know Marcianne is there too because I saw her on there. Um, and that is my gift to me this year is that because 2026, I'm sick and tired of dipping in. I'm sick and tired of trying to find the wins. And I want to be the leader that I've always wanted. And I want to be the person that's there. And if I don't have the right tools to do that, I'm not going to do that. So that is my win. And I'm super excited about it. I'm excited about the move. I'm excited about 2026. There's huge changes coming. And yeah, I highly encourage you. If it's not the GoPro, then find somebody as a coach that, and personally, I say outside of here, find somebody who's perfected it, done it, and is um, like Eric. There's Eric, there's Rob, there's I can't think of his name now, but he's a big guy too. Because when you commit to that big of a, a a commitment to you, you don't have the excuses. You're not going to have the excuses. You're not going to have the um, you're going to have the desire, and it's really cool. Yeah. So that's my win.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Val also, I want to shout her out real quick. She's doing the GoPro certification as well. So we're going to have so many amazing resources for everybody as we learn and grow. Val, did you want to share a win too? Or did I just steal your win?
I I just got a customer like 2 seconds ago.
Woohoo!
She just texted me and told me she ordered. So I was like, sweet. So that's a
Nice.
win.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So what I want to share today is not going to take away from what Stephanie Dawn shared in terms of the advice that, stop dipping your toes type of a thing. What I'm going to share, hopefully, will you can incorporate with the work ethic without the burnout, without the feeling, the push, the stress, all of the things like that, and really help you receive the success that you work for. If you don't work for it, there's really not success to receive. But how many of you guys feel like you've done a lot of work in your business, maybe consistently over time, or maybe spurts of work before you kind of, dipping your toes in and out? But you haven't quite received the success that you were hoping to receive, even with those dipping in your toes, right? Which is partly why we take a break. And I'm not as black and white as the person, I can't remember the name that Stephanie Dawn shared, because I did tip my toes in and out. So I'm not going to say get out, right? Like keep showing up, keep learning, because eventually you're going to learn enough that makes you go, okay, I'm 100% committed. There's no going back. I'm making this happen. Okay. So I'm a little more on the grace side. And I think it's good to have people in both camps, right? You want to have the person that's going to hold you accountable. And then you want to have the person that's going to help hold you accountable, but not beat you up for where you're at. Because I am a hard on myself. I shame myself. And so when people say things like that to me, I'm like, well, screw you then. But at the same time, I'm not going to let that person decide for me what my success looks like. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is kind of the mechanics of how to receive and how mindset and emotions play into that. I'm going to share about a scientific study. It's going to blow your mind. I'm going to share a couple of books that you can listen to, read that will help kind of go over what I'm sharing. And then I'm going to share a couple of just example stories in my business and life that kind of illustrates this to kind of help understand what I'm about to share. Because oftentimes when I first started learning about this, I was kind of like, is this true? Is this not true? Like, how many of you guys have heard of manifesting, maybe The Secret, that type of stuff? It's kind of maybe a little woo-woo. If that is you, that's okay. I just want to ask you to keep an open mind about what I'm about to share because there is scientific research around this whole concept. But so the mechanics is understanding about how your thoughts and your emotions really do matter, and that thoughts and emotions are a form of energy. They actually have a vibration, a frequency that gets puts out. They can be measured in different tests, like an EEG or like a SPECT test scan. So there are scans that can test your thought waves and your emotions and that frequency and vibration that they put out. Okay. The study that I want to talk about, in the study, so one of the books, now this is a heavy science book. It is, well, you're not going to be able to see it because of my thing, but it is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Very heavy on the science. If you want a book that kind of shares this without the science and more of a story format, I really recommend The Jackrabbit Factor by Leslie Householder. And then another book that also kind of shares about this is The Mind Management by Dennis R. Deaton. He kind of shares lots of different stories. He kind of brings a little bit of the science with the stories kind of backed up. These two books are more like you're definitely reading it like a self-help type book. I mean, that's not really the best word, but The Jackrabbit Factor is more of a story. It's totally in story format. So there's not like education, story. The whole thing is story format. Okay. But inside this book, the breaking the habit of being yourself. Now I am a person of faith, and I changed the title because I don't actually think we need to break who we are. I think we need to break who we've become over the years of living in this world. And so I put the breaking the habit of being your natural man self, like being of the world, right? Because we all I truly believe that we all have our eternal spirits inside us, that is greatness, and we're just peeling back the layers of what the world has compounded over time. But the study is an amazing study, and it's about this group of people that are trained in being able to hold emotions like negative emotions. People that are like those negative emotions are things like anger, fear, like hopelessness, despair. Like, how many of you guys like hustled for a goal, you didn't reach it, and then you just have this like feelings of this is never going to happen, this is awful, like all of those. That I don't like to say emotions as being negative personally, because all emotions are valid, but it has a lower frequency vibration. And then they're also trained to study to hold the emotions of what they call positive emotions, which I like to say higher vibration emotions, like joy, love, gratitude. One of the things that they notice with that on those lower vibration emotions, our heart rhythms become erratic and disorganized. And then on those positive vibration emotions, we become highly ordered, coherent patterns, right? So those are that's why we want to feel those higher vibrations. But the study was they had a test tube of DNA, and this group of people did three different studies with this. Okay. Or not, like three different experiments. One experiment was for the 2 minutes or whatever, they thought clear intention of what they wanted to, some of them wanted to unwind the DNA and some of them wanted to wind the DNA. If that doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't really to me either. But apparently DNA can be wound and unwound. And so for like 2 minutes, they held the test tube of DNA and they thought about either unwinding or winding it. So think of this as like when you're thinking about your goal, right? And you're like, okay, I see myself, I'm on stage and I'm sharing whatever, or I've now gone out and bought my Jeep or whatever it is that is kind of like your vision of your goal, like holding that for 2 minutes. They did that with the DNA, either winding or unwinding. No results after the 2 minutes. Then they did it where they took the DNA and they held it, and for 2 minutes they had the high frequency emotions, but no thought towards what they weren't thinking about winding or unwinding the DNA. They just hold it and had thoughts of gratitude, love, and after 2 minutes, no results. Then they took the thought and and included the emotions, and after 2 minutes, the DNA had either wound or unwound by 25%. Crazy, right? So our thoughts paired with emotions really really do, not just can, they really do affect the external world, right? Which for good or worse, right? If you're holding on to frustration and anger or despair or things like that, it's affecting your external world. But if you're able to hold on to those other emotions, the gratitude and love, those emotions paired with your thoughts, then you're going to have some great success happening with the environment around you. Let me just double check you guys have any questions about that? And if you do, I don't even know that I'll be able to answer them if I'm being honest. I mostly am personal experience is what I want to share, but I wanted to share some of the science piece to help you kind of grasp this concept. Okay. So what this kind of results really shared was the intentional thought is like an energizer. It's like the catalyst. And then the energy is elevated with emotion. So think of thoughts as an electrical charge and feelings as the magnetic force field. So you put a thought out there, and then based on your feelings, the results come to you. Hence the receiving part without trying to hustle it. Now, the way this works though is the thought part and the emotion part have to be equal. How many of you guys, and this is myself included, are sitting there like, okay, this is my goal, I'm totally gonna hit it, and all the while in your heart of hearts, you're going, yeah, right, that's not possible. Oh, I don't have the skill set for this. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You are sending out a confused signal out into the universe, right? What you're really doing is sending out the thought of, I can't do this, paired with the emotion of, I can't do this. Therefore, you're not receiving the results of that external environment. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? We've all been there. Okay. Now, there is one last catch to this whole formula. And I like how it was said, and most of what I'm sharing today is from this particular book. All right, Val has her hand up. Go ahead, Val. She's running away.
Sorry, I didn't think you were gonna go to me just yet. So the nice thing is one of our very own people on our team actually is a professional at this. She's a professional energy worker and works on all of the things that you are discussing in your book. And it's completely scientifically backed and valid. But my question is how do you change, and maybe this is something that you're leading into, and if you are, I'm super excited to hear it. How do you change your thought process to stop sending out confused signals into the universe so you can manifest what you're trying to get?
Perfect. And I'm going to share, So each of the calls I've been doing, I've been sharing little tools. I'm going to share a few little tools today. The next call, though, is I'm going to actually really dive into more tools on how to do that. So some of the ones that I've already shared is like last week, I kind of talked about like walkout music. When you hear a song that just and you receive like, oh, this is so true. It's like creates this emotional memory. So then as you create your goals and you're putting your thoughts out there, if you can then like listen to that song because it gives you that emotional memory, it's going to help align the two. So that is like one tool. And then just another tool, I can't remember if I shared this or not, but sharing in gratitude as if you've already achieved it over and over and over again, repetition over and over and over again. So there is truth to repetition. Um, so I'm gonna dive more into that also next week, but I wanted to share this next little bit and then share some of my stories, and maybe you'll also hear what I did differently and things like that through the process. But in the book, he talked about Newton versus Einstein. And Newton had kind of created this theory, which was really not a great theory, because he basically said that it's cause and effect, right? Like the external world is what is the affects us, kind of the misalignment, right? Like um trying to anticipate and predict the events. Like if I and not to knock this is a tool, but if this is the tool you're using to receive the success, then it's not the tool that's going to work for you, right? So how many times you get on a call and they say something like send out 10 messages a day, do that for, 90 days and you will have X amount of people on your team and then you will blah 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 blah, right? That's like trying to control your results. You do want to set SMART goals. You do want to break them down. You do want to work towards them. But that's not actually what gets you to receive. It is the thoughts paired with the emotions that are in alignment. But then it's this next piece. And this is the piece. It's simple, but we as human beings don't really like. Okay? You have to be surprised by the results. It's not about what you're doing per se. I mean, that does affect it, but you can't try to be like, oh, Susie's gonna join my team, and then Rachel's gonna join my team, and then Stephanie's gonna join my team, and because of that, I'm going to, they're gonna buy the elite bundle, and I'm going to hit this rank. You're trying to you're trying to force the way. You're trying to force the way. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's kind of what Newton said. He basically said, when you're trying to anticipate and predict the how, it's all about cause and effect. That means the external environment is controlling. Now, about listen to this too, because this also is kind of a how thing. Because then your external environment is controlling how you're feeling on the inside. How many times have you sent out the messages? How many times have you done all the things and you've gotten the no's, and then all of a sudden your emotional belief in your heart just, woo, oh, this doesn't work, or oh, this is too hard, or oh, this isn't going to happen for me, or maybe this isn't meant to be, right? That is using the Newtonian effect because you're trying to control the results based on your actions. The actions are there to learn, to grow, to show that you are in a place of receiving. The receiving happens is when you let go of the outcome and you anticipate the surprise of the outcome. So you surrender it. And that is the biggest hurdle because we want to control things, right? We want to be in control of our lives and we want to control that. But I think of it, especially for those of faith, is if you could control your outcome, how can God show you that miracles exist? How can he show you that he is the one that is bringing the success to you? Right? Like, Sorry, my thoughts just kind of went a little way. So, I'm going to share a couple of examples of this. So in September, also because of how this comp plan works, and also because it was the last month to earn the trip, my top account, it seemed impossible to hit Ruby. But because of my upline wanting to earn the trip and everybody that she was bringing into the business, and her fastest way to earn the trip was if I hit Ruby, she was strategically placing people under me because it bumped me up, but then it helped her earn the trip, if that makes sense. Does that make sense where I'm going with this? And so I hit Ruby for the first time. My belief wasn't really like there, but I let go of it. I was doing my what I call like afrolizations, where I'm sharing my thoughts, pairing it with emotions, and then letting go of the results. And so I'm, that's a surprise. I wasn't expecting that, but it was there. The very next, oh, also speaking of which Val said, and she's going to be a guest speaker, Roseanne, she earned the trip as well. And she was 2.5 months in this business. And she did it all by receiving. So I'm not going to get into her story because she's going to join me as a guest. It just didn't work out this week because she's celebrating Christmas right now. And so you're not going to want to miss that because she's like the master of receiving. I'm getting better at receiving because it really, when you can learn how to receive, oh my goodness, you can enjoy your life so much more. You can let go of this, I have to figure out how to do this. And you can be like, okay, I'm going to do what I can do. And then I'm just going to let go and then watch the success come. But the very next month, I was putting it out there. Okay, I'm going to hit Ruby again. And it got so close, you guys. It got so close. And I was thinking it was going to be possible because of, oh, we have convention. Oh, we're releasing new products. Oh, everybody's going to want this new product. Everybody's going to buy this new product. And then I didn't have people wanting to buy the new product. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody else. And I was letting that trying to control the outcome affect my belief of, well, that didn't work. Like, oh, that was all the hype, all the lead up, all the things, and I didn't get any results from that. And it totally like brought my heart belief piece down a bit. And guess what? It didn't happen. I didn't hit Ruby that month. But I didn't get down on myself either for not hitting Ruby. I just was like, nope, it's going to happen the next month. I believed in it more. I just studied my emotions more. The crazy thing is that November actually sucked for me personally in my personal life. I thankfully have found kind of some solutions, but my vestibular system a year ago kind of got all messed up. Lots of head pressure. It kind of went away in the spring, summer, came back in the winter like a blah. And so I'm having like head pressure going on. I have a family member that is struggling with addiction and having wins and then having lows and having wins and then having lows. And I care about this person very much. And I'm trying to learn how to support the wins and not let the lows affect me, right? Like, so I'm doing that. But all the while, I am holding on to this belief that God, I don't know how it's going to happen this month, but I trust you. If it's meant to be, I use that. If it's meant to be, then it's going to happen this month. If it's not, that's okay too. Like I'm not going to let the result of this month factor into that. And all the while, you guys, I've been consistent in my business. I've been working. I'm not just saying like you put this out there and then you don't do anything. Because one of the beautiful things is as you align your thoughts with that emotions, you're sending out if you think of your goal as like you're doing arrows, right? And you think of your goal as the target, and then you're pulling back the arrow and then you're aiming. And you actually, instead of just aiming, you actually have a line of the arrow to your target and it's going to go straight there. And so all of that stuff that needs to happen comes to you. It either comes to you as a thought that says, oh, I need to go and do this. Oh, I need to speak to that person. Or, oh, I need to offer this perk. Or, oh, I need to make this post. Or, oh, I need to jump on this Mojo morning call. Or, oh, I need to it aligns you to reach that goal. Or the goal comes to you. Somebody jumps into your inbox and says, "Hey, I'm ready now." Or, "Hey, tell me more. I've been watching you." And you don't even, and this person's not even on your radar. This isn't even a person that you've even talked to about. And they jump into your inbox and they're like, "All right, I've been watching you. I need to hear what you're doing." Okay? I've had some of those experiences, right? It doesn't mean that we just wait for that to always happen. You got to be consistent in working your business. Again, it shows that you're in a place to receive. You're planting seeds along the way. So I just was like putting it out there, like, I don't know how it's going to happen. If it can happen, great. There were things that we were doing that I was plugging into, but I wasn't as focused on all of that. I was focused on, how can I keep showing up? How can I still be consistent in some form? How can I go to be at the minimum place because of my health and my emotional health with my son and all the things? And I did. I had somebody that I followed up with who I had met who was trying something else first. And she was like, I actually am ready to try your stuff. She came in, she tried my stuff. And then another person who I actually met, this person who I actually, had been like, "Come on now, why are you not joining?" type of a thing, come to me and say, "Hey, I'm ready." She joined, and then that other person joined, and then the two of them, they're, going towards Jade. Like, anyways, it all, like, I hit it, and I felt also more confident in hitting it because now the difference in the volume kind of came from me, not from my upline. I don't know if that makes sense. Because sometimes, while it's a blessing, and I am, don't get me wrong, forever grateful for this comp plan, but it can mess with your mindset too. You can start feeling like imposter syndrome, or maybe you don't really deserve it, like worthiness issues, those types of things. And those would be what I would say is, going back to Val when she was saying the how, you got to learn to recognize those thoughts. When you have a thought that plays in, like, "I don't deserve it," or "I'm an imposter," or, all the things, you have to be able to catch yourself thinking that. And then you have to be able to reframe it, right? And just be aware of when it comes up again versus getting emotionally like, "Oh." And it's a process. It's in a progress. It's just not going to happen like that. I am experienced. I've done so much work, but I still catch myself being like, "Oh yeah, there it is showing up again. Gosh darn dang it," like. But I don't like get down on myself for that story repeating itself. Now I try to, like, meditation is a great way to learn how to be able to see your behavior without attaching an emotion to your behavior. Um, but I'm going to talk more the next time, more tools on how you can do all of that. Um, so, we hit Ruby, and then December, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, because it's almost worse, because now I've got my mom here and it's gotten better. She's actually trying the collagen. I'm really hoping. COVID really messed her up because she was right at that age where she was walking a lot, but she was in her late 70s, and then she lived in a place that really shut down. Like, you couldn't even go out in public and walk anymore. And, like, she plays Pokemon Go, you guys. She has two phones. She plays Pokemon Go, but she was walking and doing it all walking. But then COVID hit and she had to do it all in her car. And I don't know if you've ever, like, worked out and then took a season of not working out, and then it really sucks to get that back up again. Well, now think of doing it in your late 70s, early 80s, and this the muscle atrophy, all the things. So she's trying the collagen, but anyways, I don't want to go into all of that. So we're gonna see, and I am putting it out there. I'm using some tools of I've recorded some affirmations. I listen to them, like, with the Think Up app. I have, like, my walkout songs. Those are all things that, when you can pair your thoughts with the high emotion on repeat, that's the fastest way to reprogram what you are doing as a natural habit. So, like, trying to think, have you ever, like, wanted to create a new habit, and it feels so hard at the beginning, but now all of a sudden you do that habit without even realizing you're doing that habit? And you guys all have, right? When you were a baby, you tried so hard to walk, and you thought, so hard about walking, but now you don't even think about walking unless or until maybe an injury happens and you have to relearn how to walk again, right? Like it's frustrating as all get out in that process of reprogramming to where it then becomes an automatic habit. So like I don't even think about working every day. I even say, oh, I didn't work today. And then I reflect back, go, oh, actually I did. Like because it's automatic. It doesn't take the effort. The energy's not there. And that's the fastest way to do that is thought paired with emotion. And so I'm doing those tools. So we'll see. Okay, so now I'm just gonna quickly share one last story. And it's kind of a fun story. And this is gonna be another tool. I want you guys to experiment on this, but not something with your business, or at least not something that you are emotionally invested in having a successful outcome, because that's going to really that's going to allow the external circumstances mess with your emotions, right? So I was listening to the Jackrabbit Factor. Leslie Householder has like some different courses and stuff, and I was taking some of her courses, learning this. This is all kind of what happened from burnout to my success as I learned all about all of this, and I learned about how to control your emotions and how to create emotions and all of those things, and how to get rid of the thoughts, the thoughts that are holding you back. But she recommends that you start with something that doesn't cause you anxiety. So if you are like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So let me ask you this. Like, have you ever thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have a purple Jeep. That's what I'm going to get, is the purple Jeep. And then all of a sudden you're out driving and all of a sudden you're seeing purple Jeeps everywhere. I don't know. Put a 1 in the chat if you've had an experience like that. Okay. What that means is you had this thought, you have this emotion, and now God, the universe, however you want to call it, the magnetic field, I think this guy calls it like the quantum physics, something or other, right? Whatever you want to call it. It is bringing it to you. Okay. So that's evidence of that. But now I want you to intentionally create this result. Okay. So I want you to be thinking about something. It could be anything. So one thing was like, I wanted scratch and sniff stickers. I mean, those were so fun. Like, man, that would be cool to have, whatever. I can't even say the word. But what happened was I went on a walk with my dog. I'm so proud of him. And he actually isn't standing by the door barking, which was my fear when I put him inside. And I was originally planning to walk only like 1.5 miles. And so I didn't bring water for him. It's also, it was like two falls ago, kind of, and I live in Arizona. So I mean, but it was hotter than I thought. And then I also decided to go about 3 miles. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be grateful and thankful. I'm going to hold the vision in my mind with the emotion of Mozzie drinking water, and that he's happy because he got water. I knew he wasn't going to die. I knew if he didn't get water on this walk, it wasn't the end all be all. But I felt a little bit like, I want to be a better steward of my pet, right? Like I want to take better care of him. So all the while on my walk, I'm like trying to get in that position. I was actually listening to the Jackrabbit Factor on it. So of course my vibration is higher. But you want to know what my thoughts were? I was like, okay, I'm going to walk past this park. Surely there's a drinking fountain at the park. Surely in Arizona, there's going to be a drinking fountain at the park. First park, no drinking fountain. Second park, no drinking fountain. Third park, no drinking fountain. So I'm like, apparently this neighborhood doesn't put drinking fountains in their parks. And I'm realizing the next part of my walk is literally walking along road, like traffic. Not necessarily, and I'm like, well, I have no idea now how the water is going to happen, right? I let go of the outcome, but I still but I choose to believe, or I get to choose to believe. Those are actually really good statements to say. If you're doubting it, I get to choose because it is a choice. And so I just like, I'm still holding on to that vision of Mozzie happy, drinking water and giving it to God, saying, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to be certainly surprised when it does happen. I turn the corner and one of the roads has it is backed up to a neighborhood, so you have like fence lines. The other thing too, you guys, our fences here in Arizona, they're about 6 feet tall and they're concrete. Okay, like that's like anyways, unless you have a view, and then if you have a view with nothing else, you might have all like wrought iron, like spindles. Or if you have a view but you also have an unpleasant view as well, like you might have a half wall and then the wrought iron up there. So these houses looked over at a mountain, so they did have kind of the half view thing. They had concrete and then like the spindles. Well, this one yard was, you had their sprinklers on, and what was happening was the sprinklers were hitting a tree, and then the water was dripping off the tree and then landing on the half fence with puddles of water. And I was able to go and let my dog drink through these puddles of water on this half fence that he was tall enough to drink. Like, is that just crazy? I mean, you couldn't even have predicted that if you tried to control that outcome, it just wouldn't have even done. I have another story I'm not going to go into because take your time, but it involves mice in a condo. So you just can't predict things, right? So if you can let go of the outcome and try to just be great, like just be surprised by how it comes, it's going to come so much better than what you could even try to control and predict anyways. So my challenge to you is to take something and maybe a couple things, right? Because it may happen right away. Like I know people that do this and then all of a sudden the next day they're like, oh my gosh, it happened. And then my scratch and sniff stickers, whew, I think I said it right. That took months. That took months for it to happen. And it actually was something where I got a spark idea to do something, and then that's what kind of brought it to. So sometimes you're going to find evidence of it coming just to you. And then sometimes you're going to get a spark idea that then leads you down the path that then it happens. And so try not to control the outcome. Try to just think about it every day or every other day or whatever until it happens, and just be grateful and surprised. Like, hey, I can't wait to see how this is gonna, appear, right? So that's what I have for you guys today. I want to go ahead and stop the recording and then unmute the line for anyone that wants to ask questions more.